Well, the G20 New Delhi Declaration has endorsed the Financial Stability Board's recommendations on crypto assets, which, among others, had cautioned against blanket bans and recommended targeted restrictions and sound monetary policies. John Schindler, the Secretary General of the Financial Stability Board, or the FSB, told CNBC TV 18 that a comprehensive framework for cryptos is now in place thanks to the Delhi Declaration. Economic Affairs Secretary, meanwhile, Ajay Seth, said that the policy framework for risk assessment on cryptos has now been established.
So just first off, a lot is being asked on the crypto assets roadmap and the road forward. You explain time and again in detail, read this, read that. But can you summarize it for us that what is the outcome takeaway from the G20 Leaders Summit and what is the road forward?
Okay. Number one, among the G20 membership, the work done by IMF, FSB, FATF and BIS, a very clear and comprehensive understanding of policy framework for assessment of risk that has been established on the crypto assets. The second one is an earlier work which was done, which also has been endorsed by the ministers, that when it comes to the stable coins as well as the unbacked crypto assets, what kind of regulations, what are the high level principles to be done for regulations and oversight and supervision of that asset class. There has been an endorsement. Third element, that given the risk, and it has a clear recognition that the risk can be higher for emerging economies, what are the building blocks for a good set of regulations? And who has to do it, what kind of a tentative time frame, and what those building blocks are. On all three matters, there has been a clear understanding has been reached. Now the further work, those agencies working with different jurisdictions, they will be taking it forward, and of course, the jurisdictional authorities, each country will also be taking a call on that.
So that's from the G20 perspective. Where does India stand here now, and what is it for us going forward in terms of our own regulations, non-regulations on crypto assets?
Based on the consensus which we have been in a position to, which we have been able to achieve or rather build, there we will be considering those recommendations very carefully and decide our own policies and thereafter take further action.
RBI had advocated for a ban long ago. That's not the case anymore. Is that what we understand? I mean, just not talking about the central bank alone, but that was one of the areas that is no longer on the table now. It's regulation that we're talking about, a global norm.
You are asking a leading question on this one. This is not to be seen in that binary. It is a framework for assessing risk has been put together. What will be a sound policies? So keeping that framework in mind, now we'll have to analyze our own position with the reference to what globally the leaders have agreed that they will travel it together. So given those, what should be our position will be decided in the coming months.
So one last question. The declaration also talks about the downside risks to global growth as of now, the impact of various conflicts and all of that. Talks about how central banks still need to work together. Our fiscal and monetary policies need to be in sync. Could you tell us something about that and what does this really mean going forward? Because a lot of steps, India per se also has been taken, and we have been seeing a lot of action unfolding over the last one and a half odd years. What is the road forward? What is the think about growth? What is our assessment of that?
See, as far as global growth is concerned, there are two elements which are in the play. For in several economies, inflation continues to be very high. So those central banks have been talking about that they have to further tighten the monetary policy, increase the policy rates, and that will play it out, and it will have an impact on growth in those economies. That's one. Second, there has been the global trade has also been at a low key, and the kind of a high growth rate which was being seen is no longer being visible in the near future. Where does it impact India? On the good side, a lower global trade does impact us. But at the same time, Indian services, export of Indian services has been doing extremely well. So it would have, saying that it will have some impact, but we hope that it will be a limited impact.